Welcome to the next video. In here, I am going to explain about oogenesis. They may ask a question once again for 5 marks. Explain the process of oogenesis. So, oogenesis. Dear students, this process of oogenesis will continue like this, like spermatogenesis. Here, the diploid cells, oogonia, which are diploid. They are also called egg mother cell. Egg mother cell. This oogonia undergo many mitotic division. It undergo many mitotic division to form many oogonial cells, and then it forms primary oocyte. Primary oocyte, which is, once again, you should remember, diploid. This is also diploid. Diploid means with 2 sets of chromosomes. And this undergo growth phase, and first meiotic division will be ceased. In this particular stage, the egg will stop its growth, and all these events takes place before birth. Fetal life. These are occurs in the embryonic stage itself. Because I am writing it specifically because they may ask a competitive question. From which stage to which stage, where exactly it takes place. So, you must be in a position to clearly, you should store it in your mind that this, from the stage to the stage, it occurs in fetal life, and before birth, the stage which undergo first meiotic division is the next process of primary oocyte. Then what happens? This later, in the puberty, after birth, this will undergo the completion of the meiosis takes place. That is unequal division of the ovum takes place. Unequal division of the ovum takes place to form first polar body and secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. That will be continued. This secondary oocyte undergoes second meiosis to produce ovum and second polar body. Ovum and second polar body. So, first meiotic division, which is completed before ovulation. Completed before ovulation. So, dear students, here you should remember These occur in the later stages. Oogenesis is a process of conversion of oogonial cell into ovum after various stages, where it involves the mitotic division and meiotic division. And in the birth, during the time of birth, egg will be in the stage where half completed first meiotic division, which is seized off, and it will be continued in the puberty, and later the process will, during the period of menstrual cycle, the process will be continued. So this is about the process of oogenesis. Now, along with this, I want to give some aspects. You may tell that it is not there in NCERT, but to have a complete knowledge of this, and also the next process which I am going to explain, that is fertilization, you should know the basic knowledge of two things. One is the structure of ovum and the structure of Graafian follicle. See, this is the matured follicle, Graafian follicle. I am going to explain the structure now. That may help you in your lab practicals as well as in your competitive exam. So, structure of Graafian follicle. Structure of Graafian follicle. Dear students, the matured ovarian follicle is called Graafian follicle. It has the outermost layer that is called, the outermost layer of the Graafian follicle is called theca externa. Theca means layer. Derm means layer. Blemma means layer. Layer means layer. Derm means layer. Lamella means layer. These are all the terms in biology we use. So, theca externa. Externa, layer, outer layer. And the next layer is theca interna. And the next layer is the innermost layer. Membrana granulosa. Membrana granulosa. And this layer is cumulus oophorus. Cumulus oophorus. And inside that, this is called secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. Membrana granulosa, secondary oocyte. And this cavity is called antrum. This cavity is called antrum. And it is filled with a fluid-filled cavity, fluid, that is called liquor folliculi. Liquor folliculi, and it is rich with FSH and LH. FSH and LH. FSH and LH. Along with that, nutrients. Nutrients. So, my dear students, you should remember that the outer layer of Graafian follicle is theca externa, the next layer is theca interna, and the next layer is membrana granulosa. It has an inward sac-like projection that is called cumulus oophorus, Along with that, the presence of secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte has corona radiata cells. I'm using the word corona, so I think it will be easy for you to remember. Corona means crown-like appearance above the egg. So, corona radiata, that I will tell you in the next explanation. Here there is a cavity that is called antrum, and the cavity is filled with a fluid that is called liquor folliculi, and it is rich with FSH, LH and nutrients. Now, the structure of ovum. Now, let us study the structure of ovum. Structure of ovum. Dear students, the egg or the ovum has a layer that is called oolemma, and inside that ooplasm is present. Inside that ooplasm is present, and the chromosomes will be in metaphase stage. Chromosomes will be in metaphase stage, and here we observe the presence of polar body, and the outer layer, a star-like structure is present. You may wonder by observing the structure of this egg. It will be like this. This outer layer of the egg, these hook-like structures helps to attach the ovum or the egg after fertilization to the inner wall of the uterus, womb of the mother. Firmly it holds. This is very essential. If it is not properly developed, it may cause abortion. So, this is called corona radiata. Corona radiata. Or it is also called zona radiata. Zona radiata. And next layer after zona radiata is called zona pellucida. Zona radiata. The next layer is zona pellucida. Zona pellucida. And there is a space, and this particular space is called perivitaline space. Perivitaline space. The space is called perivitaline space. And this layer, which is simple and made up of plasma membrane, that is called oolemma. Oolemma. And the inner content is called ooplasm. Ooplasm. And chromosomes are in metaphase stage. Metaphase chromosomes. Metaphase chromosomes. And this is called polar body. Polar body. So this is the structure of egg. So they may ask one question for 1 mark. Define polar body. in your exam. If they ask a question like that, polar bodies are the structures, you should write the following things. Polar bodies. These are the structures formed due to unequal division of cytoplasm during oogenesis. Unequal division of the cytoplasm during oogenesis, and these bodies are degenerated or dissolved in the later stage. So, if they ask it for 1 mark, define polar bodies, you must write this answer. These are the structures formed due to unequal division of the cytoplasm during oogenesis and are degenerated in the later stages. You should write this much. Now, with this, I want to give one more point. That is one possible question in the exam. Write the differences between, this is very important, write the differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. It is for 5 mark. They may ask this question for 5 mark. Write the differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. If this is a question, and oogenesis, then you should write maximum number of differences as much as possible. First one is process of production of sperm. And here what you can write, process of production of egg. The second difference is many motile sperms are formed. Many motile sperms are formed. Egg is non-motile. The next difference is no polar bodies. Here, polar bodies are formed. Then smaller in size, egg larger in size. Then four motile sperms formed at the end of spermatogenesis, only one functional egg produced at the end of oogenesis. At the end of oogenesis. So, at least 5 difference you should write. Now, let us move to the next concept, that is menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle is a cyclic process, and it has following substages. One is called menstruation phase, and the second phase is called pre-ovulatory phase, that is before ovulation. The phase that occurs before ovulation, this pre-ovulatory phase, it is also called proliferative phase or follicular phase. Proliferative or follicular phase. The next phase is ovulation phase. And the last phase is called post-ovulation phase or post-ovulatory phase. Graphically, we represent it like this. If it is a 28-day cycle, first 5 days, it is called menstrual phase. First 5 days is called menstrual phase, and from 5th day to 13th day, it is called pre-ovulatory phase, or follicular phase, where FSH hormone play a very important role in the development of ovarian follicles. FSH hormone play a very important role in the development of ovarian follicles. And the next is 1 day period, that is called ovulation phase. Ovulation or ovulatory phase, and it is where the LH surge takes place in this particular stage, ovulatory phase. And the last phase of the menstrual cycle, that is called post-ovulatory phase. Post-ovulatory phase. So in this way, it may be from 14th day to 28th day. So in this way, menstrual phase, it will be from 28th to 5th day, where the deciduous layer or endometrial layer, which is deteriorated, destroyed, or which is unable to get the fetus, embryo, will be thrown out from the body, from the uterine wall, and that is called menstrual phase. And after that, in the ovary, the follicles will grow continuously, and by the influence of follicle stimulating hormone, and it occurs from 5th day to 13th day, and it is called follicular phase. And after that, the Graafian follicle, the matured follicle or the Graafian follicle, will release the egg or the ovum, and that process is called ovulation, and that process occurs within 24 hours between 13th and 14th day if it is a 28-day cycle, and it is called ovulatory phase, where the LH hormone play a very important role, and it is called LH surge. And after that, the post-ovulatory phase that may takes place. And post-ovulatory phase, two things may happen. One is the egg may get the sperm or may not. That we'll discuss in the later classes. But I want to explain the hormonal activity during menstrual cycle. How the hormones are produced and what are the activities of those hormones during menstrual period. So this is 0 and 14th day, and this is 28th day. In the middle of the menstrual cycle, that is in the 14th day, the hormone LH will go to a peak, and that is called LH surge. So this is luteinizing hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone. And the level of FSH hormone will be more in the beginning, and it gradually decreases in the next half. This is FSH. It is increased in the first half because it helps in the development of follicles. And the hormone, which is very less in the beginning, but in the later stage it increases, that is called progesterone. This hormone suppresses the secretion of FSH and LH, and this particular hormone helps to maintain the pregnancy. So this is the symbolic graphical representation of levels of hormones during menstrual cycle. Thank you.